Hello and welcome to CST 3130, 30 module on advanced web development with big data. So my name's David Gamez, I'm the module leader, and this lecture will sort of introduce you to the module. So I'm going to say a little bit about me, just give you a bit of background, those of you who don't know me, the expectations that I have of you when you're studying the module, and also the expectations you can have of me, the contents of the module, how the module is going to be taught, the resources that are available to support your learning, and how the module will be assessed. So just a little bit about me, just background stuff really. So I've done sort of various kinds of interdisciplinary research over the years. So a fair amount of work on the philosophy and science of consciousness, on the measurement of intelligence, some work on spiky neural networks and robotics, some work on agent systems, teaching methods, and applying machine learning to brain data. So I've spent probably quite a substantial amount of my life on the problem of machine consciousness, how we can make machines conscious, how can we know whether a machine's conscious. So I'm an executive editor on the Journal of Artificial Intelligence and Consciousness, and I also wrote a book on this a few years ago, which you can actually read for free online if you're interested. Current research is focusing on a new universal measure of intelligence, so it's quite hard at the moment to compare the intelligence of a human and an animal and an artificial system. So I developed a new sort of universal measure of intelligence based on the idea that intelligence is linked to prediction. Got an algorithm for measuring prediction that in theory could be used to compare intelligence of different types of system. So if you're interested, go to davidgamez.eu/pi, and there's like a website that has like some papers on it and some experiments and that kind of thing. Yeah. Also did a few years ago, about 10 years ago now, a lot of work on spiky neural networks. Wrote my own spiky neural simulator called SpikeStream. Built various kind of biologically inspired neural networks using this and made predictions about their consciousness and this kind of stuff. I've also worked on safety critical systems, was part of this Safeguard project that was analyzing how we can protect the SCADA systems that are used to run electricity and telecommunications networks against like attacks, failures, accidents, so on and so forth. We built this kind of agent system to do that. Done a bit of work on computational creativity, so this is my Midi agent system. It's designed for kind of live algorithmic music, so you have agents that do different things, and then they communicate amongst each other to produce the live music, and then using like Midi controllers, you can control the parameters of these agents. Also interested in kind of visual arts, so this is my own sort of algorithmic kind of image generator, again agent-based, so you have in different agents, have certain parameters set in them, and then they combine and interact to produce the image that you see, which kind of changes over time. Had a bit of an interest after studying teaching in this idea of neuro lecturing. So the idea here is that you use kind of eye tracking and EEG to kind of monitor the kind of brain and gaze direction of the students, and then use that to kind of monitor their level of attention, engagement with the teaching materials, and in theory kind of customize it individually for each student. So we wrote a large grant on this a couple of years back, which didn't get funded, but I've still got an ongoing interest in it, should we say, yeah. So if you're interested in any of this, see my website, davidgamez.eu. Happy to supervise projects based on these topics. There's a list of project proposals available. There's some researchy ones, but also some kind of more fun, kind of just more practical ones. I typically supervise projects that have some kind of AI component in them, but also, using web development to kind of create an app or something that's like a smart app in a sort of new area, something like that. So anyway, get in touch if you want to discuss projects. I'm more than happy to have a chat about that, yeah? So many years ago now, 14 years or something, I actually did some kind of commercial work, worked at Trinity Mirror. They used to own both the Mirror newspaper and lots of regional newspapers, such as the Birmingham Post, Liverpool Echo, and so on. And so, I wrote a load of kind of Cold Fusion code, because it used to be based in Cold Fusion those days, as well as Java servlets, JavaScript, SOAP, AJAX, etc. So I learned quite a lot about kind of commercial development practices, like, you have like different test, like a development environment, production environment, like a release environment, production environment, so on and so forth. And I learned a great deal about agile development, which is still very popular today, right? So instead of doing the whole waterfall model, all those horrible UML diagrams, you kind of have a week by week kind of sprint where you kind of plan out some work and do the work. And the idea of agile development is you're always willing to kind of reshape things and refactor things in response to how the program or the technology needs are evolving. So I brought a little bit of the stuff that I learned in the commercial environment into this course as well, yeah? So if you need to get in touch, feel free. There's my email address. So this is my sort of office, GGO3, although I'm not in it very often, so I strongly advise you against trying to drop in to see me, because I'm either teaching or working from home for the most part, yeah? So the best way to sort of drop in and see me is to pop into my online office hours, which are listed on the course website. They may change, but the times will be up to date on there, yeah. Or if you want an appointment, like one-to-one or whatever, talk about something, just drop me an email and we can arrange an online appointment. It'll all be online though, yeah. I tend to do all that stuff with Zoom these days, yeah. Okay, expectations. So what do you expect from me, right? Well, I'm being paid to teach you, right? So, do my best to be professional and polite. As I've explained, I'm available by appointment. Within term time, I respond to emails within 2 working days. So that means if you email me on Friday, I'll get back to you by Tuesday, okay? If it's in term time, if it's a Christmas, who knows, or over the summer, who knows? But within term time, I aim for a 2 working day response time, yeah? We aim to mark all of your coursework within 15 working days. Again, that's working days, like within term time, yeah? Don't get your hopes too high of it being instantly marked over the Christmas holidays, yeah? I do my best to provide relevant and clear course materials and exercises, well-specified assessment tasks and marking criteria. So I do my best to do all this stuff, and if I don't, then you can hold me to account and say, look, you told me you'd do this stuff, but didn't, and then fair enough, I'll apologise and try to do better next time, yeah? What not to expect from me is perfect name recollection, yeah? I've had a lot of students each year, they change every year, I don't know so many people I see each year in the labs, but, so my main memory is bad, okay? So just bear with me. If I don't remember you, it's not like some kind of personal insult. It's just, how it is with lots of students and lots of labs, yeah? It's a broad course, covers lots of technology. You're going to have to figure some stuff out for yourselves. Yeah, it's this transition from the kind of school to the kind of university, through the university environment to the work environment, yeah? So we give you a sort of framework, we give you this well-specified coursework, give you all the support we can give you. But ultimately, there's a lot of stuff you're going to have to work out by yourself, yeah? We're here to support your learning, but we can't teach you everything. I expect you to be professional and polite. You're paying your tuition fees in order for me to teach you, right? But then that kind of cuts both ways, right? It's a professional interaction. I expect you to be polite, yeah? To exhibit appropriate behavior during teaching sessions, both towards the teachers, but also towards other people, in the lab, yeah? Talk to me if you're having problems, right? It's your course, doing this course for you. So if you're having problems with the course, or you don't like certain bits of the course, fill in the feedback survey, drop me an email, whatever it is, and I'll do my best to, consider what you've said, and if it seems appropriate, I'll make some changes, yeah? And do the coursework and hand it in on time. Those of you who've been with me before know that, there's a cutoff point for handing your coursework in, and after that you get 0 marks, and I'll stick to that pretty firmly. So don't, spend the entire term working on something and then hand it in a day late, because all that work will have gone, yeah? You need to hand it in on time, be professional about this, yeah? I have had issues in the past with people disrupting lectures and laboratory sessions, okay? It's like, it seems to be like some kind of mate chat time is the idea, they seem to think that, so people have been talking during lectures, laboratory sessions, loud talking laboratory sessions, people like having these kind of matey chats about the football results, whatever it is, yeah? Or talking about, such as, which is an example of talking about relevant topics, yeah? So the lab sessions are there to support everyone's learning. It's not like a chance to have fun with your mates. Yeah, if you want to have fun with your mates, go off and have a coffee, have fun with your mates, go off and do what you ever want. I don't care. What I care about is that within the lab environment, you have some respect for all the people who are working in that lab environment. Yeah. So if you do exhibit this behavior, I'll warn you. And if you continue to exhibit this behavior, I'll ask you to leave. And and hopefully the matter will end there. But that's what's going to happen. Yeah. So respect the other students who are trying to learn. Don't just, talk in a loud voice about things that don't matter. It's fine to talk quietly about things relevant to the course. It's not fine to, talk about, the latest film you saw on Netflix or something, yeah? Okay, so what we're going to try and do in this course. So this course is kind of conceived as a sort of continuation and development of what you learn in your second year, yeah? So in the second year, you have all this Java that you learn, but then you really don't get to the stage beyond, basic programming in Java. And then you also have all the kind of web development stuff that I teach you. So this is intended to take both the Java and the JavaScript and all the web development stuff and sort of take it up a level, yeah? And it's kind of a level of intensity because this is quite a challenging course, okay? So I'll take your Java and JavaScript programming skills forward to introduce you new frameworks like TypeScript, Enterprise Java, and so on. Give you hands-on experience of core technologies using commercial Java development. So commercial development is very different. Commercial Java development is very different from what's called POJO, which is like plain old Java objects. What it really is a way of sticking together kind of Java, blobs of Java in clever ways to be able to produce your enterprise system that does something, yeah? I want to deepen your knowledge of Node.js because, even in the cloud, Node.js is still very popular. get into kind of cloud data storage, cloud computing, sentiment analysis, and machine learning. So the autumn terms focused on Coursework One, which is explained in a separate video. And Coursework One is kind of based on kind of Java, Node.js, and SQL databases, and introducing these enterprise Java technologies such as Hibernate, Spring, and Maven. And I'm also introduced kind of web scraping, which is popular in a lot of apps and a lot of applications. And we've just touched on Vue. There's a lecture on Vue as a better way of like injecting kind of dynamic content into a page. Yeah? So these are all in the module handbook. That's just, you can see all this on the course website as well. So it's basically all these lectures are, as usual in my modules, kind of supporting different aspects of the coursework. The springtime takes this kind of leap into the cloud, okay, and also leap into TypeScript. So we're going to use TypeScript, which is like a typed version of JavaScript. We're going to be doing kind of, setting up these kind of data processing pipelines in the cloud and using machine learning and sentiment analysis, again, using cloud services. So it's, very cloud-based project, although there is some local code that's written in TypeScript and then executed in JavaScript. So again, I'm not going to sort of talk through all this, but it's sort of introducing all the different aspects of the project so you can complete your coursework. Now, I can't say this strongly enough, yeah? Originally, I designed this course as something that was suitable, or intended it to be suitable, for students who got a 2-1 or first in my second year module, yeah? And then, the university powers that be kind of opened it out to everyone, which is fine, yeah? But just bear in mind, this is a module that is challenging and involves a lot of programming, yeah? You're going to be writing a lot of code in Java and JavaScript, and endlessly in the second bit of coursework, playing around with different blobs of JSON that are passed around to different web services in the cloud. Yeah, it can be quite fiddly. I think it's a great module personally. It's my favorite module. It's got a lot of cool stuff in it, and people have found it very useful on their CVs. This kind of cloud stuff with JavaScript, TypeScript, and so on and so forth is extremely popular right now in terms of cloud architectures. Yeah, but learning how to do it is complex and takes time, and it's not easy. Yeah. So I only recommend this module for students who have a good understanding of Java and JavaScript. If you hated programming the second year, this is definitely not the module for you. Yeah, if you engage with this module, work hard, you'll learn a lot of useful stuff, but it's not for the lazy or faint-hearted. So I have some, students who are, motivated, did well in the second year, and they do brilliantly on this module. They build these really exciting projects and have a lot of fun with it. Yeah, but if you don't put your time into it, or you choosing the module at random and you're not very keen on programming, it's going to go badly. You're just going to struggle with it, and it's just going to be a painful process for you. Okay, so it's good, but it's only good if you like programming and you're willing to put time and effort into it. Yeah, you can give it a try. Yeah, you can always change your choice of third-year modules in the first 2 to 3 weeks of the autumn term. So if you think it might be for you, come along, give it a go. You get a better idea by talking to me, by having a look at the coursework. We have a dialogue about it. But don't leave it too long to commit to it, or to leave it, so to speak. Yeah, because you don't want to like choose this module for like 6 weeks and then switch to another module, because then you'll find that you're way behind on the other module. Yeah, so by all means, drop in, give it a go. I don't mind the least if you want to switch to this module, switch away from this module. Talk to me if you're having difficulties. We can have a conversation about that. But just bear in mind the sort of trial period really ends after the first 2 to 3 weeks, because otherwise switching is just going to be too hard for you. Yeah. So I've talked a bit about the hardness of this module, but it might be too easy for you as well. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you know like AWS inside out and you're brilliant at enterprise Java, this module is a complete waste of time, and you should do one that's pushes you in different directions. Yeah, don't pick a module that's too easy, and don't pick a module that's too hard. Yeah. Now, I find a lot of my students that I supervise use the technologies in this module to develop the third-year project, because they're cool technologies, right? And they give you a public URL. It's all in the cloud, so you don't have to mess around, worrying how you can test your project, when it's only hosted on localhost. Yeah. So by all means, I encourage you to use all the technologies teaching you in this module to develop your third-year project, but don't submit your CST 3130 coursework as your final year project, because we'll find out about that and give you 0 marks. Yeah. If you want to use cloud technologies in your final year project, I can give you a separate $100 credit for you just to use exclusively on your final year project. Just talk to me about that and I can sort that out for you. Right, so this is the sort of stuff from the sort of module specification. So, knowledge outcomes. Okay, you're going to build a technology architecture. You're basically going to build data processing pipelines, both in the cloud, but also written with enterprise Java. Not going to get we're not going to get into the maths of machine learning, but we're going to be using a machine learning service to do some time series predictions and look into sentiment analysis and how all that works and do a bit of sentiment analysis, again, using a cloud service. We want to construct professional quality websites, displaying data from large databases using Node.js, advanced JavaScript. As I said, we're going to get enterprise Java, Spring, Hibernate, Maven, multi-threaded Java. Unit testing, Java and JavaScript, and also manipulating data, both by scraping data from websites and by downloading data from web services. So moving into deeper knowledge of SQL databases in this module, using Java and JavaScript. Going to move into WebSockets, which we didn't cover last year, but it's a way of kind of being able to push data from the server to the client. Going to be processing data locally in the cloud and using some basic machine learning sentiment. I think, and I'm pretty confident about this, that you're going to get commercially relevant programming and development skills out of this module, as well as high-level skills of commercial websites. Once you've built Coursework 2, I mean, you're pretty advanced, right? You've got TypeScript, you've got the whole cloud architecture stuff, you've got some machine learning thrown in. This is pretty sophisticated stuff, and I think that puts you in a really good position to start applying for jobs as a developer, like an app developer, website developer kind of thing, if that's what you want, yeah? Okay, so yeah, so web developer, app developers, classic sort of outcomes. Quite a few of my students who study on this module go on to do that. I know that sort of by giving them references for these various technology companies, yeah? Now, in terms of other roles, I've probably explained this to you before, but technical recruiters recruit, developers in order to be able to, they sort of in middle men and women between the kind of the people who want to do the jobs, the students or developers, and the companies, yeah? So they're sort of picking recruits, I guess you call it, and then hand-picking them and then presenting them to the companies. And then if they successfully place someone into a role, then they get like 2 to 3 months of salary. Yeah, so it can be very well paid if you're good at it. Yeah, but being a technical recruiter is easier if you understand the technology. So again, this module sets you up quite nicely to become a technical recruiter. Yeah? I should probably added there's a lot of work in kind of working with software packages these days, and some of these probably work with AWS these days, and probably involve some kind of customized tuning. And so those kind of roles also open up from this module, yeah? As well as IT manager, right? If you're managing developer teams, again, understanding technology is going to help you to manage those teams better. So these are just some examples of web developer jobs. You can make decent money, like easily 30K these days, probably a bit more as a starting role, yeah? And a bit less out of London, yeah? Now, if you're applying for these developer jobs, employers are going to want to see examples of your work, right? It's all very well to write your CV that you're some kind of wizzo JavaScript, right? Programming, yeah? But you need to prove it, yeah? People need to see examples of the work you've done, yeah? And your coursework could obviously form part of your portfolio, yeah? So I recommend you put your websites available on public URLs. So you're going to get $100 AWS credit that will work until the end of September. So Coursework 2 will already be, live, and you can easily just put that straight into your CV. And the other pieces of coursework you can easily put into like an S3 bucket and then just make it publicly available if you want, yeah? And obviously you can put links to your GitHub repositories as well, yeah? Okay, right, so that's the sort of backgroundy stuff, I guess, and let's talk about how this module is being taught. So as explained in a previous lecture, in Hendon, we're using a blended learning approach. We're making the recorded lectures available online, so you've got pretty much all the lectures for the course already there. I'll tweak some of them as we get closer to them if they need it. But others lectures are just the same each year because it's covering the same technologies, yeah. And then we're going to have like live Q&A sessions delivered online, yeah. So the Q&A sessions are a chance to kind of ask questions, and I'll throw in some other content as we go, and I might come to that in a bit. Laboratory sessions face-to-face in Hendon. But because of the COVID stuff, but also other reasons, it's not as convenient to cross London for like a single laboratory session. So we do offer the option to participate online in laboratory sessions by arrangement with the laboratory teacher. So talk to me if you want to do that. It'll be a specific appointment at a specific time in your laboratory session, okay? It's explained in more detail in the lecture on blended learning, yeah? This approach varies between teachers and campuses, so I'm currently the only teacher in Hendon on CST 3130, but in Dubai and Mauritius, this module is being rolled out, and they're going to have a slightly different blended learning approach. You should talk to the module coordinators in those campuses to find out how it all works there. So if you want to know how blended learning works, there's a recorded lecture there, just watch that, and it's in the blended learning section of the course website. Okay, so this is a practical course, all right? We're teaching people to build, various kinds of front-end websites with the front and back-end components, yeah? So the laboratory sessions are the place where I can give you feedback about what you're building. I can give you help with programming. I do a lot of that in lab sessions, and give you kind of help you get the most marks by looking at how your project meets the assessment criteria. Yeah. So I strongly recommend you come to the lab sessions. That's the place you're going to get the most help on this course. Yeah. Q&A sessions are there to kind of consolidate your understanding and provide additional material. So some weeks when I'm trying to explain, a piece of coursework, and it's critical that you understand it clearly, then I'll run through the lectures in a sort of informal way, taking questions as we go and so on and so forth. Other Q&A sessions, I'll maybe do some coding demos. So if there's a bit of technology that's kind of shown by kind of a bit of live coding, I'll write up some code and show you how it all gets put together. I might throw in a bit of additional material sometimes. And in this module, I've actually got some kind of seminar exercises, and sometimes I'll run those kind of within the Q&A session if the numbers aren't too large. Yeah, it just sort of varies week by week. Yeah, so each week I'll send you an email with sort of current lectures to watch and what's going to happen in the Q&A session. So take a look at the Q&A session, see if it's something you want to kind of see or participate in, and then decide if you want to come along. Yeah, the Q&A sessions will be recorded, so you can always watch them afterwards, but obviously you'll lose the ability to participate in them if they're recorded. Okay, so this module has been running a few years now. When I first developed it, it had the course code CSD 3205, and now it has the course code CST 3130. It's the same module, but obviously some of the lectures I haven't needed to change or update. I haven't bothered changing or updating them, but they say they've got the old course code, but it's just the same course. It's just, the teaching materials, just have the old code, but it's the same course. Yeah, so don't worry if you see either code on like the recorded lectures in particular. Yeah? And the module website, My Learning, has coursework descriptions, software, links to recorded lectures, lecture slides, laboratory handouts, example code, and resources. Pretty much everything you need to study on this course is on the module website. Yeah, do let me know if you have problems accessing any of these resources. Yeah, and I'll do my best to fix it. There's the module website. I'll go through that in a bit. Now, traditionally, modules have had a reading list associated with them. I used to do that, but most textbooks are like 5 years out of date, and the whole sort of physical textbook thing's a bit going out the window anyway, yeah? So none of the textbooks covers the range of topics, and most people can't be bothered with textbooks anyway, particularly if they're out of date, yeah? So I haven't provided reading lists for this course because I really don't see the point, but I do provide links to online resources each week, and I make sure that they're sort of roughly up to date where they've gone, yeah? So here, for example, is the online resources for week 6. So there's links to like Spring website, tutorial on Spring, and so on and so forth, yeah? So this is kind of, obviously you can do your own online searches, but this is kind of just to get you started with engaging with all the sort of peripheral materials linked to this particular topic, yeah? There is a free course textbook. So I've got that. Yeah, so this is really, so as you know, in Middlesex, you get this free textbook. They've got this kind of Cortex scheme. Ideally, these will all be online. Unfortunately, the ones I tend to pick tend to be not available online, so they're like physical copies, yeah? I wouldn't probably bother providing this or recommending this on its own, and I haven't actually read it as it happens, but because you get it free, I kind of did my best to pick a textbook that looked to be useful to help you with the course. Yeah, so this is kind of related to the second part of the course, obviously, with all the kind of cloud technology. It looks sort of fun. You get it for free anyway, so I thought you might as well have it. And so what I'll do, they're going to give me like 40 printed copies, and I hand these out in the labs. And I've got a few copies of the previous textbook that they used, and you're welcome to have that too, yeah? So this is in no way required reading. It's like more of an add-on because, it might be useful, and because, the money's been spent anyway, so you might as well have it. So there's a few module documents, like the module handbook and the coursework descriptions, which I produce myself, and I can make these available in other formats if you need it. Yeah, for example, if you've got issues with dyslexia, I can produce a version of that in open dyslexia fonts or different colors, whatever you need. Yeah. So if you've got special requirements for this, just come and see me, and I'm more than happy to help. Yeah, or just send me an email or something like that. Yeah. So software-wise, there's various links on the course website to software that you can download and install. In some cases, I provide portable Windows versions in case you want to put it on a USB stick to use on lab machines. But it's your responsibility and to back up your work regularly. Yeah. So don't just sort of develop everything on your laptop and hope that it won't crash or be stolen, or break and be stolen, or locked up with ransomware or something. You've got to make your own efforts and put a lot of time and attention into backing up your work regularly. Yeah. Every year, I get maybe 5 students who never backed up anything, and then their laptop, the hard drive failed on their laptop, or it got stolen or something like that, or their house burned to the ground, whatever it is, it will happen to you, okay? Don't assume that it'll never happen. So always make sure that everything that matters to you is synchronized in these two places. The cloud's a good start. You'll get your OneDrive as part of your student sort of, get a OneDrive for being a student at Middlesex. So just synchronize the folder that you're working in. That's the easiest thing to do. Obviously, if you delete everything locally, it will get synchronized with the cloud and delete everything else. So you might want to just do the odd zip backup and email it to yourself with like crucial code, or put it on a separate hard drive at home or something like that. Because your laptop will fail, your laptop will get stolen, and other bad stuff is going to happen. So just assume that, and then make a plan for that, because it'll happen to you once, and you'll come to me and say, I lost all my work, sir, and like 2 days before the deadline, let's say, and I'll say, sorry, this is a computer science course, you've lost the work, you've lost the marks, and don't do it again. Learn from this. Okay, that'll be the conversation. It won't be, oh dear, I'll give you 2 extra weeks to work on it. No, under no circumstances will I do that. You've got to learn to back up your work regularly, because that's your responsibility as a computer scientist. Okay, and there'll be no exceptions to that. So please do it, and then we don't have to have that conversation. Okay, so you're going to need a text editor. This all should be familiar stuff. Strongly recommend you develop on Chrome. Chrome's got great developer tools. Other browsers also do. I think Safari is pretty worthless, I think, so I wouldn't bother with Safari. Chrome's your standard go-to for developing work. Personally, I think IntelliJ is the best Java developer that I've used anyway. Things like Eclipse is pretty ancient, and NetBeans is just awful. So I would strongly recommend you get the IntelliJ Community Edition, which is free. On the JavaScript IDEs, I tend to use WebStorm, which you have to sign up for like a educational license, but it's free as long as you're a student. So you can sign up for the license and then get the fully fledged version. You can also get the fully fledged version of Java IDE, which is developed by the same people, as of IntelliJ. Or you can just use Visual Studio Code for building your JavaScript. That's fine too. Node.js you need. So WebStorm, you need the free educational license, but it's pretty nice when you do get it all running. It's definitely my favorite IDE for JavaScript and TypeScript. Okay, I think I might have forgotten to load this course website. Let me see, and that's yep, that's it. Okay. All right, so here's the course website, just to give you an idea. So we've got a module handbook. There's a few bits and bobs in there, but it's not super useful, I wouldn't say. Feedback questionnaire. Appreciate it towards the end of the year. I'll remind you anyway, but just to fill in that, tell me what you think about the course. Here's the teaching staff across, it's running across 3 campuses now. These are stuff on blended learning. So for the coursework, there's a requirement for a video demonstration, so watch that before you record that. Is explaining the kind of blended learning approach, the kind of online participation by appointment in the labs, that kind of stuff. And then this whole process, so all the feedback and grades are given using online marking, and it's a little bit fiddly to get into the online marking on Moodle. So you need to this video here kind of explains how you do that. You can also see your grades by clicking on here, and you can actually see what you've got and whether you passed the module and stuff like that. A few links to software. The 2 piece of coursework, there'll be a description. Later, I'm going to, because now the module's being taught to multiple campuses, I'll provide the kind of teacher marking sheet thing here in the description as well, so that you'll get even more detail about how the coursework will be assessed. And then obviously your submission links, ignore resets a moment. Then each week, you should be familiar with this if you've done my module last year, we've got the sort of recorded lecture for the week. So this is just a link to the lecture recorded on YouTube. Q&A session. So there's a link there, so you can get into the Q&A session at the appropriate time. When I've finished the Q&A session, I record the Q&A sessions, and then I'll upload them here. So after the Q&A session, maybe an hour or 2 later, depending on time, I'll upload the recording so you can watch the recording if you want to. There's web worksheets. Sometimes there's seminar handouts, depending on what we're doing. And then obviously, as explained, there's like links to useful resources for the course. Okay, so I think that's about all you need to know about the course. Okay. It's your course, right? I'm not doing this just for my own entertainment. I'm doing this course because I'm paid to kind of teach you, and you're paying to learn on this course, So please give me feedback about things you find difficult, parts of the course that don't work, or even positive feedback if you like, Talk to me at the Q&A session or the lab session. Drop me an email, make an appointment to come and see me. No point just suffering, thinking it's lousy, and not giving me a chance to fix it, because that doesn't benefit you and it doesn't benefit me or the other students, So just, it's an open dialogue. I won't be the least offended. I might not agree with you, but I'm more than happy to listen, and I certainly won't get, like I said, offended or cross, if you complain about the course, It's like, I like friendly dialogue, and I'm always willing to listen to what you've got to say about it, Okay, so 2 pieces of coursework. It's fairly straightforward. This, I mean, with my module, second year module, you know, I broke things down like quite fine grained, right? There's like 2 or 3 assessments per coursework, 3 pieces of coursework. This is pretty straightforward, right? We've got a price comparison website and a data visualization website. Yeah, 2 submissions, proposal, final thing, and a mandatory video demonstration. So Coursework One, the idea here is we're writing using enterprise Java, multi-threaded Java, Spring, Hibernate, Maven, so on and so forth, and that's running like locally, scraping websites scraping data from different websites, like phone prices and like that. Then it's going to store that in a database. Then we expose it using Node and a web service, and then display it on the front end. Yeah, that's the idea here. Yeah. Yeah, pretty much explain that, yeah. And then the submission deadline is the end of term, yeah? And this varies a little bit. Normally it's week 11, but this year I'm recording this, it's actually week 12. But anyway, the end of term is the deadline for that, yeah? Coursework 2, data visualization website. So here we're downloading data from web services using code that's written in TypeScript, processing the data in the cloud using sentiment analysis and machine learning, and then pushing that data back up to the front end and displaying like real-time graphs, of the numerical data, predictions about numerical data, as well as the sentiment analysis. So this is a fun bit of coursework. I like this one. And again, there's a couple of deadlines. That'd be a proposal deadline, and then the end of term, just before Easter, when the term ends, like week 24, then that'll be the final deadline. There'll be separate videos on each of these bits of coursework, and obviously there'll be coursework description documents going into the coursework and the marking criteria in some detail. Yeah. So read these documents carefully before you start the coursework. As you're building your projects, check your coursework against the marking criteria before you submit it. Yeah. Because if you don't read it carefully and you develop things a different way, you're going to get 0 marks. Yeah. You only get the marks if you develop things in the way that are specified. So for example, there's marks for like machine learning components of Coursework 2. If you just had in a bunch of Python code you've written for that or copied for that, you're going to get 0 marks, yeah, because the specification is that all of the machine learning stuff has to be written in JavaScript, yeah. So read this carefully, don't do it wrong, or you're going to lose all your marks, yeah. More than happy to help. Always ask me for feedback in the lab, so we can go through your project, look at the assessment criteria, and I can help you to get the best mark possible for your project, yeah. So these description documents are key. Print them out, read them carefully, make notes on them, I don't know, carry them with you always, that kind of stuff, yeah. You've got the deadlines on there, they've got the specification, and most importantly, you've got the fine-grained assessment criteria, and you will be assessed against these criteria when the final marking form is basically a version of these assessment criteria. So those are the documents. As I said, there'll be more detailed teacher marking stuff on there as well, because the teaching across multiple campuses this year. We use video demonstrations because obviously we're not going to try and get your entire project running by ourselves, don't have time. Okay, used to do live in-person demonstrations, but I think, video demonstrations kind of strike a nice balance with that, yeah? So just record like a 5-minute piece showing the key pieces of the project, yeah? If you don't submit the video demonstration, you lose the marks. And I've recorded a separate lecture explaining how to do video demonstrations. So just watch that lecture before you record it, because otherwise, if you mess up like the bitrate or resolution or something like that, then you could end up with a massive file, even for 5 minutes. I've seen 500 megabytes for 5 minutes, which you won't be able to upload. Yeah, you won't be able to submit this thing if you record like some kind of huge video demonstration that's too long and just got the wrong parameters on it. Yeah, so please watch that before you record it, and you'll make life easier because it's just use OBS Studio, and it's pretty straightforward if you just follow the instructions I give you. Yeah. So to submit your work, zip everything up, organize it into folders first. Obviously, don't just submit all the files without folders. Organize everything into folders, and then zip everything up together. Yeah. And submit it, using submission links. It's all marked online. If you want to understand how to see your marks, because there's a couple of clicks you need to make to see them, then just watch this video on coursework submission feedback and grades. And as I explained, you can actually see your grades, the overall grades, by clicking on the grades tab in the course website. Pass marks 40%. Otherwise, you have to just basically redo the coursework again. So you might as well do it better, nicely the first time. It's a hard course covering lots of different technologies. We've got various kinds of Java and JavaScript and TypeScript and cloud stuff. You need to learn how to stitch all this stuff together, because that's how modern web development works. But it will take time and take effort to learn all this. Yeah. So please watch all the lectures, attend all the lab sessions, do the lab exercises. Yeah. Q&A, optional, but useful, I hope. Yeah. You're going to need to spend at least 5 hours of your own time on the coursework each week. Don't just sort of ignore it and hope that you'll be able to do it in a week before the deadline. You will not. Yeah. The best way to pass this course and get a good mark for it is spend 10 hours a week on it, including all the lectures. So there's like 4 hours of taught materials if we count the recorded lecture, Q&A session, and the 2 hours labs. That leaves 6 hours a week to work on your coursework. And if you do that every week, steadily over the year, then you'll do great and you'll do well in this course and you won't struggle with it. Yeah. If you leave everything, if you like jump from deadline to deadline, working furiously on your undergraduate project and then maybe on your AI module and then on this module, then it's not going to go well. Yeah, I can pretty much guarantee you'll run out of time to do a good job on this, and I've seen it time after time after time. Yeah, so getting a first on this module will help you get a job, but obviously you're only going to get a first if you put the time and the effort in and work steadily on it over the year. Yeah. Okay, so this lecture has introduced CST 3130. I use a blended learning approach, explained in a separate video in the blended learning section of the course website. And I provided all the kind of coursework specs, deadlines, marking criteria in separate documents because it's just easier. And you can get these on the course website. Read these carefully, okay? That's your sort of guide to how you're going to do the coursework and how you're going to get a good mark on that coursework. And I hope you enjoy it. Yeah, it's like I said, it's a fun module, but if you work hard, you get a lot out of it, I think. Yeah.